When people think about pollution, they often imagine smoggy cities or plastic-filled oceans. But there are places on Earth where pollution reaches levels so extreme they almost feel unreal. These are locations where the air, water, or soil has been so heavily contaminated that simply living there can pose serious health risks. What's surprising is that many of these places are still inhabited. Let's start with one of the most well-known cases, Chernobyl. After the nuclear disaster in 1986, large areas around the reactor became contaminated with radioactive material. While parts of the zone have seen some ecological recovery, radiation levels in certain areas remain dangerous. The long-term effects include increased cancer risk and genetic damage. It's a stark reminder of how a single event can leave a lasting environmental legacy. Next is Norilsk. This remote city in Russia is one of the most polluted places on the planet due to decades of heavy industrial activity, especially nickel and metal smelting. The air is filled with sulfur dioxide and other toxic gases. Snow often falls black, and vegetation struggles to survive in surrounding areas. Life expectancy here is significantly lower than the national average. Now consider Dzerzhinsky. During the Soviet era, this city became a major center for chemical weapons production. Waste disposal practices were poorly managed, leading to massive contamination of soil and groundwater. Toxic chemicals have been detected at levels far exceeding safe limits, and the area has faced serious health challenges as a result. Moving to Africa, Agbogbloshie is one of the largest electronic waste dumps in the world. Here, discarded electronics from around the globe are dismantled and burned to recover valuable metals. This process releases toxic fumes, including lead and mercury, into the air. Workers, often without protective equipment, are exposed daily, and nearby communities are affected by contaminated soil and water. In Asia, Sitaram River is frequently cited as one of the most polluted rivers in the world. Industrial waste, household garbage, and chemical runoff have turned sections of the river into what looks like a flowing landfill. The water is used for irrigation and daily life, meaning pollution directly affects millions of people. Efforts are underway to clean it up, but the scale of the problem is enormous. Then there's Linfen, once labeled among the worst places for air quality. Coal burning and industrial emissions created thick smog that made breathing hazardous. While China has taken steps to improve air quality in recent years, Linfen became a symbol of the consequences of rapid, unregulated industrial growth. Another shocking example is La Oroya. This town has long been affected by emissions from a nearby metal smelter. Lead and other heavy metals have been found in the blood of many residents, especially children. The health impacts include developmental issues and long-term organ damage. In the Middle East, Sumgayit has faced severe pollution from chemical and industrial waste. Toxic substances were historically dumped with little regulation, leading to widespread contamination. Like many places on this list, the legacy of past practices continues to affect current generations. Finally, consider the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Unlike the other locations, this isn't a city, it's a massive area in the ocean where plastic waste accumulates due to circulating currents. It's not a solid island of trash, but a dense concentration of microplastics and debris. Marine life is heavily impacted, and the problem is incredibly difficult to clean up. So what do all of these places have in common? In most cases, the pollution didn't happen overnight. It built up over years or decades due to industrial activity, weak regulation, poor waste management, or lack of awareness. And even when action is taken, cleanup is slow, expensive, and sometimes incomplete. The human cost is significant. People living in these areas often face higher rates of illness, reduced quality of life, and limited economic opportunities. In some cases, relocation is the only viable option, but that brings its own challenges. The environmental cost is just as severe. Ecosystems are damaged or destroyed. Water sources become unsafe.
air quality declines, and the effects can spread beyond the immediate area, impacting regions far away. But there's also an important point to understand. These places are extreme examples, not isolated ones. They highlight what can happen when environmental protection is neglected. On a smaller scale, similar processes are happening in many parts of the world. The good news is that awareness is growing. Governments, organizations, and communities are increasingly recognizing the need for stricter regulations, cleaner technologies, and better waste management. Some of the places on this list are already seeing gradual improvements. Still, the lesson is clear. Pollution doesn't just disappear, it accumulates, spreads, and persists, and once it reaches a certain level, reversing the damage becomes incredibly difficult. Understanding these extreme cases isn't just about shock value, it's about seeing the consequences clearly so that future decisions can avoid repeating the same mistakes. Because the most polluted places on Earth didn't start that way, they became that way over time.